Class 11th, Subject Physics, 7th chapter, Thermal Properties of Matter. Thermal Properties of Matter. From this chapter, let us see thermal resistance denoted by RT. Thermal resistance denoted by RT. We know that the conduction rate P conduction is the amount of heat transferred per unit time through a slab of area A and thickness X. The two sides of that slab being at temperatures T1 and T2 such that T1 is greater than T2. So the conduction rate, that is P conduction, is nothing but it is the amount of heat transferred per unit time through a slab of area A and thickness X when the two sides of that slab are kept at temperatures T1 and T2 such that T1 is greater than T2, and therefore that conduction rate P conduction is given by the formula amount of heat conducted per unit time, that is P conduction is equal to Q by T, which will be equal to Ka into T1 minus T2 upon X as equation number 1. So this Q by T is the conduction rate, that is P conduction, and it is derived from that the amount of heat conducted is given as Ka into T1 minus T2 into small t upon X. Therefore, if we write Q by T, then formula will be equal to Ka into T1 minus T2 upon X, which represents the conduction rate. Then the constant K, that is coefficient of thermal conductivity, depends upon the material of the slab. The material that readily transfers heat energy by conduction is called as good thermal conductor. The material that readily transfers, that is conducts heat energy by conduction, is called as thermal conductor and has high value of coefficient of thermal conductivity K. The opposition of a body to flow of heat through it is called as thermal resistance. The opposition offered by any body to the flow of heat through it is called as thermal resistance. The greater the thermal conductivity of a material, the smaller will be thermal resistance, and vice versa. The greater the thermal conductivity of a material, the smaller is thermal resistance, and vice versa, and thus the bad thermal conductors are having high thermal resistance. High thermal resistance will be possessed by the bad thermal conductors, and therefore from first equation we can write T1 minus T2 upon P conduction, that is T1 minus T2 upon this P conduction will be equal to X upon Ka. So T1 minus T2 upon P conduction equal to X upon Ka, equation number 2. Now this term T1 minus T2 upon P conduction is called as thermal resistance RT. T1 minus T2 upon P conduction, that is nothing but the thermal resistance RT of that material, and which is analogous with the electrical resistance R is equal to V by I. So in this case, this T1 minus T2 will be analogous with V, that is potential difference, and this P conduction will be analogous with the current I, and therefore this side is similar to that of V upon I, and in case of electricity we know that V by I is the resistance, that is electrical resistance. So similarly in this case T1 minus T2 upon P conduction will represent the thermal resistance, which is given as X upon Ka, and therefore we can write thermal resistance RT will be equal to X upon Ka. X upon Ka. Now if you consider this term, then the SI unit of thermal resistance, SI unit of thermal resistance will be given as degree Celsius second per joule, degree Celsius second per joule or degree Celsius second per kilocalorie. This will be in the units of energy, it will be in the units of heat, and then its dimensions will be given as, the dimensions are given as -2 in length, -1 in mass, 3 in time and 1 in Kelvin. -2 in length, -1 in mass, 3 in time and 1 in Kelvin. These are the dimensions of this thermal resistance. So the thermal resistivity is nothing but it is the reciprocal of thermal conductivity K. If we consider thermal resistivity, then thermal resistivity is nothing but it is the reciprocal of thermal conductivity K, and therefore we can say that the reciprocal of thermal conductivity K is called as the thermal resistivity. And now let us see some of the applications of thermal conductivity. Applications of thermal conductivity. The very first application is the cooking utensils are made up of metals and their handles are made up of the bad conductors of heat. So if you consider the cooking vessels, then in case of the cooking vessels or the utensils, the cooking utensils are made up of metals and are provided with handles of bad conductors, so that as the cooking utensils are made up of metals, it will be very easy to cook this food because the metals are good conductors of heat. And in order to handle these cooking utensils, they are provided with the handles of bad conductors so that we can handle them easily. Then the second application of thermal conductivity is the thick walls of cold storage room. If you consider the cold storage room, then cold storage room is provided with the thick walls, and therefore we can say that thick walls are used in the construction of the cold storage rooms. Now the bricks which are used for the construction, these bricks are the bad conductors of heat, and so that it reduces the flow of heat. So the flow of heat will be reduced by the bricks which are used for the construction of these walls of the storage room. So there will be reduction of the heat from the surrounding to the rooms. So no heat will enter, or very small amount of heat will enter from the surrounding into the rooms. So let us see now the third application, that is to prevent ice from melting. To prevent ice from melting, it is wrapped in a gunny bag. So the large pieces of the ice will be now prevented from melting when it is wrapped in a gunny bag, and therefore to prevent ice from melting, it is always wrapped in a gunny bag. A gunny bag is the poor conductor of heat. The gunny bag is the poor conductor of heat, and then as it is poor conductor of heat, it reduces the heat flow from outside to the ice. Similarly, the air filled in the interspaces, that is the air filled between the threads of that gunny bag, that is interspaces of gunny bag, being bad conductor of heat, avoids the conduction of heat from outside. So no heat will be conducted from outside because the interspaces, that is the air is filled between the threads of that gunny bag, and air is bad conductor of heat, and that's why no heat energy will enter into the ice, and so that it will be prevented from melting. And now let us see some disadvantages of this thermal conductivity. So there is a disadvantage of low thermal conductivity. For example, when hot water is poured in a glass beaker, when hot water is poured in a glass beaker, it get cracks. So the cracking of that beaker due to the hot water will be now explained, since when hot water is poured into the beaker, its inner surface only expands due to that heat energy supplied and not the outer surface. So as hot water is in contact with the inner surface of that beaker, therefore its inner surface will get expanded but its outer surface will not expand, and due to this the thermal energy supplied will be responsible for the cracking of that beaker. Then let us see the next point, that is second mode of transfer of heat, which is called as convection. So convection of heat. Now what is that convection? The process by which the heat is transferred through a substance from a point at higher temperature to a point at lower temperature due to the actual bodily movement of the heated particles of that substance is called as convection. The process by which heat is transferred through a substance from a point at higher temperature to a point at lower temperature due to the actual bodily movement of the heated particles of the substance is called as the convection. That is, in case of convection, there will be actual bodily movement of the particles of that substance. So heat will be carried actually from one place to another place by the particles of that substance, and hence convection will take place. For example, the wind blow due to the convection. Similarly, water gets heated due to convection. That is, in these examples, the convectional currents will be formed and they will be responsible for transfer of heat energy from one place to another place. And now let us see again some of the applications of the convection. The very first application is heating and cooling of the rooms. So first application is heating and cooling of the rooms. The heating of room by a heater is based on the principle of convection. Now in this process of convection, the air molecules in contact with the heater are heated up. Those molecules of the air which are in direct contact with the heater will get heated more, and then these molecules acquire sufficient energy and will rise upwards as they become lighter. Then the cool air at the top, being denser, moves down, and then this cool air in turn gets heated and again it moves up. So in this way the convectional currents are set up in the room which transfers heat to different parts of the room. And then the same principle but in the reverse direction is used in order to cool a room by the air conditioner. So in case of heating process of that room, the air molecules which are in contact with the heater will get heated first, so that they will become lighter, they will move up, their place will be taken by the other cool air. Again that cool air will get heated, it will move up, and again its place will be taken by the cool air. So in this way the convectional currents will be produced within the room, and then that room will get heated throughout. Then the second example of this convection, that is second application, is the cooling of transformer. So due to the large amount of current, there will be heating of transformer, and then we have to cool that transformer, and therefore due to the currents flowing through the windings of the transformer, the continuous heat will be produced. So if you consider the construction of the transformer, it consists of primary as well as secondary coils, and then these coils will be provided with the windings, and therefore when the currents are flowing through these windings, at that time large amount of heat energy will be produced, and therefore transformer is always kept in a tank containing oil so that it will get cooled. The oil in contact with the transformer body heats up, then creating the convection currents. Then warm oil comes in contact with the cooler part of the tank, gives heat energy to it and goes to the bottom. Then it again warms up to rise upwards, and then this process goes on repeating again and again, and the heat of the transformer body is thus carried away by the convection to the cooler part. Then the cooler tank in turn loses its heat by convection to the surrounding air. So these are the two applications of the convection. And now let us see what is free and forced convection. So there are two types of convection, free convection and forced convection. Now if you consider the free convection, the process of transfer of heat from a point at higher temperature to a point at lower temperature in the form of the electromagnetic waves will give rise to radiation. But if you consider first of all the free convection, then when a hot body is in contact with air, under ordinary conditions, then the air removes heat energy from the body by the process of free or natural convection. When a hot body is in contact with air under ordinary conditions, then the air removes heat energy from the body by the process of free or natural convection. For example, the formation of land and sea bridges. The formation of land and sea bridges is nothing but the example of free convection. On the other hand, when the convection process is accelerated by employing a fan to create a rapid circulation of fresh air, is called the forced convection. When the convection process is accelerated by employing a fan, that is external agency, to create a rapid circulation of fresh air, is called as forced convection. For example, if you consider the heat convector, then it is based on the principle of forced convection. Similarly, air conditioner, then heat radiators in IC engine, etc. These are some of the examples of this forced convection. So in case of free convection, heat energy will be removed by its own, but in case of forced convection, heat energy will be removed by some external agency, and therefore these are the two types, that is free and forced convection.